Yeah, Delores Elizabeth Hall. Or no,
No.
Karen. Yeah, I forgot my first name, last name. Anyway, start over. My name when I was born was Delores Elizabeth Carrion.
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 How do you spell that?
Carrion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were born in what
Colton,
city?
California.
And when was that?
6/20. I was born 6/20/31. My mother was a chiropractic nurse. My dad was a chef, worked in Barstow. And as a matter of fact, is going to go back to Barstow, which we never did, to get see that picture of him hanging in the Harvey house. And that was about that. I was the only child, no brothers, sisters, nothing. They had a restaurant, and I just had to go to the restaurant and just wait for them to get through working. I'd pick up dishes and work and all that kind of stuff. I'd curl up in the back booth and go to sleep. Have all I wanted to eat. That was good, though. At least we had a lot of food. Big courthouse, bank was in it. You know, everything was all together. I remember the courthouse being across the street, and I used to take the money over. And the receipts, daily receipts and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't do much. Talked to the people came in. And that was about it. They had me picking up dishes and all that stuff. I don't recall whatever happened to the restaurant. Obviously, they got rid of it. And then my dad left. He went to Victorville first.
Did you move as a family?
No, I stayed with my mother. And he stayed, he went in Victorville first, then moved to Barstow. Divorced, yeah.
How'd you feel about that as a kid?
Didn't care. Yeah. Didn't care. That was their problem, not mine.
How old were you?
I must have been around 9, thereabouts. At that age, I collect movie star pictures. And it was during the war. And from our house on the corner was the USO. And on weekends, I'd make sandwiches and lemonade. And the soldiers would buy it for $0.25. And I would save it for, because there were some figurines I wanted to buy. And I saved and got enough money for the figurines. First memory of really knowing a movie was The Black Swan with Maureen O'Hara and Tyrone Power. And I thought they were the two most beautiful people on this earth. And I somehow acquired the poster out from front of the theater. I'm not sure if I took it or they gave it to me, but it was hanging in my bedroom. And I remember that. But I collected the pictures because it was during the war, and all the guys, you know, were going to the service. And there was a hotel next to the restaurant, and this little man, Mr. Bryan, was my buddy, and he would give me the money to buy the pictures, and I would tell him I liked them in color if I could. And they were $1 way back then in color. Otherwise, they were $0.25. And he would mail them for me. And I'd get pictures. They're probably out in the garage somewhere. And boxes there that still have to be gone through. I was always a fan of movies. I don't know. I just always have had funny things happen to me. I was at a filling station one night, and Nanette was just a puppy. And this lady pulled in station, you know, next to me, and came over to the car. And it was the actress Greer Garson, who did Mrs. Miniver. And she said, "What kind of a dog is that?" I said, "Well, that's a French poodle." She says, "I just love it." And she held her and played with her. And she said, "I've really got to check into that sometime." But I mean, just weird things like that always happened to me. That was the first ones. I knew a lot of those old stars. Did the old movies or old TV shows like Corliss Archer and Henry Aldridge, you probably never heard of him. And all those people were very friendly at that time. Everybody liked everybody. And there were no bodyguards or anything like that. Then my roommate and I decided that we needed to make money, so we decided we'd take pictures of movie stars.
Good.
So we went to different places, and took pictures. And
You were the paparazzi.
we were the first paparazzi. And we sold the pictures depending on what size, started at a nickel. And we made quite a bit, used it for grocery money. And they liked us because we didn't scream and yell and push in or anything. But everybody was much different then. Everybody was polite and, they didn't do anything. But in doing that, I met Lucille Norman, which nobody knows who that is now. However, she is on Facebook, which I was surprised. No, I didn't have a profession, really. I graduated from high school, and my mother took me to El Monte, and she had remarried. And then I had to go to a friend of hers house that she was going to have a baby, and they wanted me to take care of the baby. From that point, I don't know. That's a very blank of where I got the money to go to Hollywood, or just what it was. But I ended up there, the Orange Show. That's where I met Marilyn Maxwell. And I met the president of her fan club, and we became friends. And she needed a roommate. And so I said, yeah. I don't know how I did it or why, but I just did. Then I had to find a job, and I finally did insurance. No, first one was a drugstore. I was a cashier, and the place was always crowded, and people went in and out, in and out, in and out. And then it got raided because it was a bookie joint in the back. And so then I went to the insurance company, worked part-time, because I went into college, lasted 2 months in college, took movie secretarial course. And let's see, then I went from that, I had my room, and on $25 a week, I bought a television and had the bubble, the bubble front, brought that home. My dad brought us food because he always, every time he'd visit, he'd bring all kinds of food. And we had that. And then I went to photographic school where I did retouching and photo tinting. And in doing that, I was walking to the bus stop one day, and at CBS, there was a line of people. And I thought, well, I'll go see what that line's all about, because I had time. And I went over and I stood in line, and I thought, well, it's pretty neat. It was Lucille Ball's radio show. So I saw that and then went on home. So after a couple of weeks, I was standing out there each time. And Lucille's mother came out, and I heard somebody say, that's her mother. And she walked right over to me. And she said, I want you to come with me. You don't belong out here. And that's what I did. And met Lucille, doing My Favorite Husband radio show. And she took me back to the dressing room. And that was it. And one time I was in there one week, and Vincent Minnelli came in with Liza. And she was in her ballet outfit. And she had just come from her lessons. And she came over and talked, and she sat on my lap. And it was a cute little thing. She was real cute. So I thought that was kind of a big deal. And that's how I met her. And then I went on over to I Love Lucy when it started. And I saw every one of those. And that's when I did go to her home for dinner and so forth. And she was, after little Lucy was born, I was there one night, and she said, you know, you can't believe how long I've waited to have my baby at my table for dinner. And it was, just loved the kids. And they lived on Devonshire at that time. And then I went, I don't know, what did I do? I went from there to all the shows, did all that stuff, got another job, an insurance company, and moved in with her cousin Cleo. And yeah, and got an insurance job right within walking distance of that.
Was that in Hollywood?
That was on off of Wilshire Boulevard, whatever that area is called in there, close to, not really close, yeah, close to Fairfax about. And I was there. Then they were going to sell that house. I moved in with Mama Ball. And I had a dog by that time, my first poodle, Nanette. And I drove out with Mama Ball. One day, Lucy, she went to see her. I stayed out because I had the puppy with me. And she came out and sat on the lawn with me and played with the puppy and so forth. She loved animals, loved them. We were just friends like that.
Have you always had animals?
No, my mother wouldn't let me have them. And this Mr. Bryan gave me a little Cocker Spaniel puppy one time, which suddenly disappeared within 2 days. I went out to get the puppy, and she says, oh, it must have ran away. And that was it. But as soon as I got out on my own, I got my first poodle. And then later on, I went over to Maryland's one night with Lori, my daughter, when she was about 3 months old, who had a problem throwing up. And Rock said, can I hold her? And they were all dressed to go out, and he had on a beautiful suit and everything. And I said, well, it's really not safe because of... And he said, that's okay. And he held her. And he kind of, I don't think I'd bounce her, you know. And blip, right on his suit down there. And he said, that's okay. I affect most girls that way. Was I ever married? Yes. That came along. Robert McCaskey Hall. I don't remember what year now. Got married 59, I think it was. 58. 59, something around there. I call him a jerk. And he called me a jerkus. That was it. Lots.
How many?
Well, 7 all around. We had Dana, Lori, Todd, Mark, Lisa, and Judy found us eventually, and Jeffrey, which was Mary Kay's son that I raised from a 12 on up. Full house. And then we had Mary Kay living with us. We had my mother living with us. We had Jay and Rita, who had a baby while they were living with us. It was a full house. No, I'm supposed to do that. Forget what I'm talking about, not you.
I know.
Yeah, that's my job. Delores Elizabeth Hall.
Very good. Glad you know your name.
I had to think for a minute whether you wanted maiden name or really married name. And little Peanut over there just sleeps through everything. She's opened her eye just a little slit just to look at me. Mm-hmm.
Because
She's
she was ugly as a pig.
She's a good girl.
So are you a good cook?
Pardon me?
Are you a good cook?
No, you'll find out in a few minutes.
Yeah.
You can That was it. But that was that. That was it. That was it. That was it. You know, things like that. That was all. And stuff like that. That was it. I went on and on like that. Did that. And that kind of stuff. Stuff like that, you know. But it was fun. Hard at times, but fun.
Would you, if you had to do it over again, would you do it any different?
Yes.